Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White, your host of Keeping It Real on Purpose. And today we are speaking to someone really special today about a certain topic. So, you know how you have those aha moments, those real ahas? Well, we're going to be talking to somebody that has those aha moments, even in her business. Okay. So, who will we have today? A phenomenal person by the name of DeDee Cai. Now, she's the owner of Fit to Profit. You like that, right, guys? You like that name. I like it. She's on a mission to get herself in front of as many audiences, right, as possible to talk about the entrepreneurship and the spiritualism of that experience. Because I really want to hear what she has to say about that, because I think that's really important to talk about because we forget that along the way. But in just talking about DeDee, she loves long distance running. And one of her favorite ways to clear her mind and stay fit is that long distance running. I like long distance walking. It's not about just about physical exercise, which I love that idea, but it's also about the mental clarity and the sense of accomplishment that comes along with it. Her favorite quote, you ready? Your self-worth is your net worth. Welcome to the show, DeDee.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Edna, for having me. I
You're
am
so
so
welcome.
delighted. Yes, an honor to be here. And I cannot wait to dive deeper into this conversation. And
Yes.
yes, I find it fascinating and it's a topic worth discussing. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. So tell me how, let's start with your experience with just finding out that about that spiritualism and entrepreneurship go together.
Yeah. So what's really interesting is that I didn't I knew that I was spiritual just
Right?
because I always felt connected
Mm-hmm.
to just random things, like people that I didn't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm having a conversation with the trees when I'm outside. Like it's
Girl,
I just
I'm
feel
telling you, me too. Go
yes,
ahead.
I feel like this energetic connection
Right.
um for as long as I could really remember. And I just know that I'm so nourished and filled when I'm
Right.
outdoors.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't think much about it, but I have to say, when I'm really committed to embarking on this journey and this path
Mm-hmm.
was, I want to say, more than 5 years ago now, just because my son is 4.
Okay.
And I was encouraged to start reading the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
um, and I don't want you to think that spirituality has to do with religion. It doesn't have
Right. It
to.
doesn't. Yes.
Here
Mm-hmm.
to my story that so I was encouraged to start reading the Bible because I wanted to heal myself from my miscarriages in between my daughter and my son. So
Yeah.
he's a
Gotcha.
miracle. He's a miracle baby.
Yeah.
And that process got me to really start paying attention. Remember how I said that I always felt connected to the trees or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
most
Right.
random person. If I hear someone is sad, like I mean, I'm like, I feel like someone passed away in in my personal circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was my realization of like, wow, if I can really start paying attention, I can really see why things happen for a reason. Because up
Yeah.
to that point, even with my miscarriages and prior to that, losing my best friend to suicide the week of my wedding, all of that were all questions I had of like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
good person. Why do bad things happen to good
Good
people?"
people. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? And and
Just life.
and then comes to my having a business at that time. I was also speaking with entrepreneurs and having conversations with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everything came full circle. Was every single one of their story, including mine,
Mm-hmm.
had a pivotal moment of why they were called to do something.
Right.
And it wasn't like, it's not like, okay, my parents wanted me to go to college and have a great degree. It's not like it was
Mm-mm.
like it was planned out. No,
Right.
it was more of it was a calling that came from whether it's a tragedy. For my case, it was
Right.
because when I
Uh-huh.
lost my best friend to suicide, I vowed to myself that no one ever has to go through what I went through that week.
Okay.
And I just had a nudge to look, you have to do something about this. Like there has to
Right.
be
Right.
something done now that you know what you know. And could
Right.
you have saved her, or what else could you be doing? And what's was really interesting is that I also at the same time discovered that I was suffering from depression and anxiety at the same time.
Oh, I see.
And so I share those little details to illustrate that those were the moments where
Mm.
I reflect back to was when I was spiritually touched, or right, like when you talk about, let's say, if you are a believer, that's when you were saved, right? Like when
Right.
you were,
Yeah.
encouraged to whatever, like incorporate that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm here today and still alive talking to you because of those little miracles, right?
Yeah.
Tragedy becomes miracles, becomes the reason. And for my business, is the same. Every single
Yeah.
time I embark on doing something, it was more of a calling. I didn't have a blueprint to do X,
Right.
Y, Z in the business,
Right.
but I
Right.
just went with the calling, and it's something that it's just like a silent knowing. But religiously, and I want to say spiritually more so, um, yeah, it has been almost 6 years. But prior to that,
Yeah.
um, I was raised Buddhist, and
Right.
so my spirituality really started there. And the reason
Right.
why everything makes sense is because we are really, if you really think about it, are made of energy, and we're all
Absolutely.
connected. We were
Absolutely.
designed to
Absolutely.
support each other. And
Yeah.
I think I just felt that. Like
Yeah.
I explain it then,
Yeah.
but I just felt that, and I just kind
Absolutely.
of went with it. And I just kind of
Yes.
followed the little crumbs along the lines,
Yep.
and started my business, which I
Yeah.
resisted the whole entire time up until when my mom asked me to start a brick and mortar restaurant business with her.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, it was completely a spiritual experience
Yeah.
because I didn't know what coaching was about. And
Yeah.
then one step after another, which led me into the coaching industry. Coaching
Mm-hmm.
industry led me into really teaching entrepreneurs how to start businesses, which led me
Right.
into teaching women how to basically remove mental barriers, mindset
Right.
coaching, to now really teaching women how to build their self worth. So you
Right.
see, like it's all part of a plan, but wasn't my plan. I didn't have the details, I didn't have the steps, but I just trusted my calling. And I truly believe to this day, right, that
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship is a spiritual experience if
Oh,
you're
sure.
willing to allow that to be a part
Absolutely.
of, your
Absolutely.
purpose.
Absolutely. I experienced that. Um, I had my own business in real estate for a very long time, and everyone asked me how did you make it happen? Now I'm the reverse of you. So I was a co-pastor in a church, and all of this stuff in the beginning, right? But I knew there was something else out there. Just knew. I went to college, and one of my first went to ministry college, and one of my first assignments was to go to every religion and inquire, ask questions, and learn about it, and then come back and give the central theme
Mm,
without all the other stuff. Give the central theme. That that exercise changed my life. I then went to China about a year later, right, to teach English as a second language, and that's where I found Buddhism, and I learned about it, and I was so taken away by Confucius that I was like, wow, I got to know more about this, and that's when I knew and learned, and that was in 2012. That's when I learned about the energy.
mm,
That's when I learned about energy, and I was like, that's what I was looking for because it was always vibrating, and I
yeah.
know as we're talking in the entrepreneurial space, and we both coach entrepreneurs in that space, but we just them to get to them to the point that this is energy. This has nothing to do with how you feel. That's It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with energy, what direction you're going. And I get the most marvelous ideas when I obey that energy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Oh my gosh. I love how there is almost a reflection. We're like a
Yes,
reflection of each
yes.
other, right? Like it's
Yes, total reflection, total. But it's amazing how we get here, and now that you're here, right, as this new entrepreneur in this space as a coach, you're like, wow, I want everybody to feel this, and isn't it great to like grow and then
oh
share with your clients or prospective clients?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the most incredible things. And what is really amazing as well too is that yes, there are things as we are more experienced as entrepreneurs we're better
Yeah.
at, but
Mm-hmm.
but there's always something new to
Yeah.
learn.
Something new.
I mean,
Yeah.
there is always that next level, which is so
Yeah.
fascinating to me. And
Yeah.
especially with what we get to do, I'm sure Edna, you can agree that when it comes to mindset, right?
Oh
There's
yeah.
always another layer that we need to shed
I just
or
said that the other day.
always that aha moment, like you said, like,
Yes,
wait a
yes. It's
minute, I thought I
always
knew
that.
that 20
It's
years ago.
always
What is
yes. It's
happening?
always that aha moment. I'm telling you, girl. I just said this to my friend the other day, and I was talking to her about mindset, and then we were like, wait, that's another level. So I was like, let me. I'll talk to you later. I gotta suss this out. That's a whole nother level. But mindset, learning, the vibrations, they're not all linear.
Yeah,
They're all, it's all this way. When you're running, when you're at one with the earth. When I'm walking, I'm telling you, after my accident, I couldn't walk for like 8 months, but I forced myself and I got back up and running in 4 months, right? But I wasn't running. I always loved to walk, and I would literally take tiny steps to start to walk. So I would get out of breath, 2 steps, and I go back in the house, go back out, 3 steps. I literally did it increments like that. And thank God for my granddaughter, but I got to the point that when I walked out, would touch the trees, and be one. But my experience from that walk and just walking, um, I saw this circle, like a fire circle in front of me. And it was like, I am one with you and you are one with me. And whenever I'm walking, that it gives me that same feeling like I first started walking. So I started walking 5 miles a day and it was like, okay, this is easy stuff, you know?
right.
But when you're in tune, that's that spiritual part. That's that spiritual part.
Exactly. See, and you see how it just could be in any moment of the day, and
Yes.
we're allowing, right? Like
Any moment, any
yeah,
moment.
like ourselves to be with our highest self
Yeah.
and to be connected, to
Right.
something that is not visual or is not physical, and
Right.
it's just a feeling of
Right.
being in connection with another energy source, and it doesn't, and that source in itself, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so beautiful, and yeah, until this day, I still can't explain. I mean, there are times where I'm just walking and I have this download, and I'm like,
Yes.
okay, that's I think the trees just spoke to me, or like
Yes.
or I just got clear, on something because I
Yes.
was open to it. And
Yeah.
I think we're so busy with today's society where we're like checking off the to-do list, or we have to do this next thing, or
Yeah.
we need to be invited to this thing, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the
Mm-hmm.
FOMO.
Yep.
That's how we seem to, or should be, right? Most connected, but
Mm-hmm.
we're actually most disconnected than ever,
Yes.
just because we're not taking the time
Yeah.
to embrace, that process, and to stay
Mm-hmm.
connected with our
Yeah.
own, spirituality, and just really
Absolutely.
understanding, how we exist, in the first place, and how we exist to support each other. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, on all levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Walk us through how you incorporate walking or being fit into your coaching
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
your clients.
So I one of the really foundational piece that we teach entrepreneurs first and foremost is to create a system, right,
Okay.
that works
Right.
for them personally
Right.
before they take
Absolutely.
it into their
Yes.
business. And we are regimented with ensuring that the entrepreneur has a routine, right? In the
Right.
morning routine and an evening routine.
Right.
And my four negotiables, and which I teach my clients, and they most of them adopt, is that faith is first,
Yeah.
business is second, third is family,
Hmm.
or the self. Let's say if you don't have an immediate family like
Right.
mine, then last but not least, fulfillment. So
Hmm.
honestly, how it first started for me was I was just completely burnt out mentally
Yeah.
and emotionally. I
Hmm.
didn't know what else to really do with myself when I had to take a big step back when my best friend passed after our wedding. Was I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna move my body. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna start work like doing walks and moving my body
Yeah.
just so that
Yeah.
I can feel alive again. So that's
Yeah.
what I did. And so that's one of the biggest things that we teach entrepreneurs. Like you have to have part of your routine, especially in the
Hmm.
morning, is to move your body. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be
Absolutely.
exercise. It doesn't have to be, anything crazy. It could just be you standing up and just breathing slowly and moving your arms and like
Yes.
stretching
Absolutely.
for a few minutes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Movement is so important because
It's
if you
powerful.
think about it,
It's
right?
powerful.
Our
It is
body,
powerful.
yeah, our body is made up of 80% water and
Yeah.
and energy. So we need to
Yes.
be able to move it for
Yes.
everything to flow regularly. And so honestly, that was my personal journey too. I started working out physically and running long distance, obviously. And now is something that is a becomes a non-negotiable in my life and
Yeah.
becomes non-negotiable in my
Yeah.
client's life.
Yeah. That I totally agree with. I have a non-negotiable, and it's first is me meditating. Meditation is for me. My
Yes.
quiet time. That's the first. Then the second thing is exercise. I have to have that. And then we can go on the business of the day. We could do the business of the day, and I make sure that I have a balance. I don't work on Saturday and Sundays. It's either for me or my family. I don't do that. No, not weekends, and I make sure that there's a balance. And that's important, is to have that, like, create that balance for you. What does it look like? Because it may not look like that. Maybe you like Wednesdays off, who knows? But,
Yeah.
for me, this is how it looked for me. And ever since I've done that, I think
Yeah.
I've done that in 2018,
Yeah.
right before the pandemic. Ever since then, I've not changed that routine. Even my pup knows it. I have a little dog. He knows. Okay, she's sitting in the chair. It's time that I'm gonna be quiet right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, absolutely, unless you set that up for yourself,
Yeah,
everyone around you start knowing and noticing your routines,
exactly.
and they respect that. Like, right? That's boundary.
Yeah,
And what's really interesting is as much as we think spirituality, working out, all of those things are separate
they're
from,
not.
ourselves, it's not. It's all connected. And you
It
know how
is.
we alluded to the conversation of how my mission is to teach every single woman entrepreneurs to feel worthy, right?
Right.
To
Right.
increase to profit from
Right.
from having that
Yes.
net worth is it becomes you have to have self-worth, and self-worth comes with from
Oh yeah.
care.
Absolutely.
Self-care, right? Like self-care meaning you have to
Yes.
have your routine, and not only that, it's also part of setting boundaries and
Yeah.
really understanding how when to say yes, when to say no. That
Hmm.
builds into someone's self-worth system, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
it's we if we are not feeling worthy, you wouldn't be exercising. If
No.
you're not worthy, you wouldn't go out and have a conversation with a prospective client,
No.
right? And so
Mm-mm.
all of what we think is luxury and fancy or like
Right.
selfish, which is so taboo, it's not. It's actually selfless.
Selfless. Yep.
We cannot serve from an empty cup, period.
No, and we
You
can't,
know?
and that is so relevant to who our audience is that we're always serving from an empty cup. Women especially,
Yeah.
women especially, we're going, 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 and I was telling my friend, she didn't want to say something to me about some issue she was having. I said, well, you need that. Don't ever give that up.
Yeah.
Don't ever give a friend up, because even though you're going through, they can listen. They may not have anything that has to do with anything or say anything, but they can listen.
Yeah.
And you need a sounding board sometimes just to empty that out. And then and what's so funny is you probably know the answer. It's just because you're so full of this bad energy and this emotion that you can't hear what you need to hear, and you need to empty all that out. And she goes, that's a great analogy. So, but anyway, just having that, having those pieces in there, like I think of all that we do is a web. It's not a box, it's a web. Everything's connected. You know how the spider makes the webs, one notch, and it all comes together. It all just comes together. It's so very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that's why a lot of times when I always get asked the question, well, how did you build, yourself up? Well, take care of
Hmm.
yourself. I don't know how else to say it. I
Yes.
just don't want to be, demeaning or anything, but
Right.
you just take care of yourself. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just take care of yourself.
yes.
We're
And
not taught to take care of
yeah,
ourselves. We're
no,
not.
and what's really interesting is we as women, we don't have the role that we have now ever than before, right? Like
Right.
before it was we get to be a homemaker, we get to
Right.
the
Exactly.
mom and the things. But all of a sudden we can vote, we can work, we can be
Yep.
a
Exactly.
CEO, we can do all of these things, but we don't have to take care of ourselves. Like that doesn't make any sense to
Doesn't
me,
make any
right? Like
sense.
so if
It
I'm going to
doesn't.
be this role, this if I have going to have this many layers of responsibilities,
Hmm.
I have to take care of myself even more than before
Absolutely.
when I only had to
Absolutely.
like give birth to the kids and keep them alive. You see what I mean? Like that see you see how it's
You
off
need it
kilter.
more now than ever. That's
Yes,
correct.
exactly. And so
Yes.
why do people think that because we could do it doesn't mean that we should take it on and we should disregard
Exactly.
our
Oh,
needs? No,
that's good.
absolutely not.
That's
Right?
good. That's a good point. Because we can do it, we don't have to take it on. That's so good because we
Mhm.
do things that like, and I said this to the day. Oh, I didn't want to do something. Right? I didn't want to do it. I really didn't. But I said yes because I was
Mhm.
asked,
Because yeah.
and then I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna start saying, and it could be a friend, it could be a relative, and you don't want to say no to, especially friends and relatives. You don't want to say no to,
Absolutely.
and
Right.
I said no. If I'm doing this and I don't want to do it, I'm doing it begrudgingly. So why am I even doing it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah,
make
and
any
you're not
sense.
honoring yourself, and that chips
Yes, you're
away
not
your
honoring, and
confidence.
I'm sitting there mad.
Right. You
Never
resent
mind.
it.
I'm just
Right.
mad, and I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm creating this. I'm creating this negative energy because I did not say no.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, okay, got it now. I got it, universe. I got that. Got it. Got the lesson, and I'm gonna say no when I don't want to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. I think it was definitely a couple years ago when I'm like really onto this like self-worth and setting boundaries,
Hmm.
really being really onto myself about, you know, saying what I need to say and
Yeah.
asking for what I want. What was really interesting, Edna, it was like an epiphany, another aha.
Yeah.
I went to get my nails done, right? Like went to get my nails done, and yeah, I chose a color and she puts it on. But I found myself like literally, we were almost done when I realized I like it, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
Should I leave without saying anything, or should I ask kindly to get
That
my
part.
color changed? Should I guess my kindly to get my color changed? I was like, you should go ask kindly to get your color changed. Like I have my this voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Am going to do that. And how many of us, I mean, I'm sure you can relate. How many times has that happened in the past where
Yes.
you just left
Yes.
resentful and you're like, I like it, but I don't love
Yes.
it.
Over
Why
the smallest
settle?
things.
Why settle for less when all you had
Right.
to do was ask for what you want?
Exactly. That I'm an asker. I have gotten over that.
Right?
I've gotten over that and I'll ask. So simplest thing, like you said, going to a restaurant, right? And it's not what you want. And then my friends will say to me, don't make a scene. I'm not making a scene.
Yes, I'm right.
Excuse me. This is not what I asked for. I don't want it. It's not appetizing. And not that I didn't eat it. I don't want it. It's not what I wanted. And they would eat things. That wasn't what they wanted. I'm like, no.
Yeah, you see
But
how it's a little
you
practice?
don't honor yourself. What you said, when you do that, you do not honor yourself. You do
Yes.
not think that you're worthy of having a proper meal.
Exactly. And just being able to like voice it, right? Like voice your
Yes.
opinion, asking kindly. And like it just so like again,
Yes.
we us women, most of us were raised to, be submissive, to be
Yep.
quiet.
That's
No.
right. That's
Like,
correct.
you want to expect us to be CEOs or even, I don't know,
Yes.
the president of the country. I mean, you should listen, right? Like, you should listen to us sometimes. So
Yes.
I think most of us women are actually, especially with the women I work with, and especially
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, we're
Yeah.
really learning that, right? We're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
embracing that. But
Yes.
it's really in every small little thing
Yes.
where we have to learn to set
Yeah.
boundaries, because that builds up our confidence, that builds up our
Absolutely.
self-worth. And
Absolutely.
it just and you talk about energy, then we're vibrating on that frequency of
Absolutely.
I am worthy, right?
Yes.
Right? Like the
Yes.
person who is running a successful business with a team and making seven figures and things like that, she's not going to be afraid to ask for another meal or
Yeah.
another color change
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Because guess
Exactly.
what? You will have to fire someone if someone is
Yeah.
not performing. What are you going to do? Kick them
Exactly.
around? No, you
Exactly.
can't do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I,
Yeah.
I think that oftentimes we have to bring it back to the most basics,
Yes.
right?
The very basics.
The
Exactly.
very basics of how
Yes.
are you handling, yourself and your personal life and the things that you do and the boundaries you have,
Absolutely.
before
Absolutely.
you can even take it out on anywhere else.
Absolutely. This is how I feel about this subject is so imperative because I'm seeing it more so, and taking care of yourself is primo. It's primo. We
Yeah.
don't have to do these things. We don't have to not take care of ourselves. And I've seen a lot of my colleagues really work hard, and they would be working so hard, and they'd be like, "You getting off?" It's like, "Yeah." I would end a meeting, right? So we'd be in a meeting for an hour, and I ended right on an hour. There's like, you don't want to stay after? No, no, no. What if everything is talked about? That is time management is self care.
100%.
Time management self care. If you don't have concern about what you're doing, and how to treat other people's time and your time, you're just really those are boundaries. Time is a boundary. You have this amount of time to do something. You schedule that, and I just feel that just hanging out for no reason and just talking about nonsense is just not fruitful. It's not fruit. You're just toiling around, right? So I wanted to tell you something that I learned in this spiritual realm. Women are made from the rib, from what the Bible says, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So from that rib on that side is the heart, and in that area, about the chakras. Which chakra is right there? Which
It's the
chakra
heart
is right there?
chakra. Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
heartbeat. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's the
So
first thing
we
that's
are the
also
real
created when the
spiritual.
baby's, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, we're the real spiritual part because man was made from the sand, the earth itself. That's the strength part. So we're the part that generates all that energy for
Yeah.
that part.
And guess what? So the ribs, right? So listen, I agree with you. I heard this from Charlotte Gamble. I don't know if you know her, but she did a
No.
whole talk on the ribs.
Hmm.
And you know how the ribs, there's also the permanent ribs and the floating ribs, right?
Yes, yes.
So you know how some people, if the floating ribs are not connected, eventually the floating ribs can like this interfere with the
Yeah,
breathing,
with the organs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the
Uh-huh.
organs. And so that's why we're not meant as women, right? We're made out of ribs.
Yes.
We're not meant to be alone, like the
Nope.
floating rib. So we're supposed to stick together.
Yeah. Stop it now. You're all up in my business because that's what support is. It's the rib.
Right, and it's made for so many different functions, and that's
Yes.
why we're so equipped to do so
Yes.
many things. but
Absolutely.
but just like it's giving us to inhale, we need to exhale,
Right.
right? So we
Yes.
need to take on, which is the inhale, we need to
Right.
recover as an exhale
That's
just
right.
as much.
That's right.
Otherwise
Exactly.
there's no breath, no life, and eventually you get burnt out.
Yes. And that's what happens with the burnt out. No breathing, no exhaling is happening. So it's all of that. It's
Yeah.
all of that. It's
You're not
not
feeding the
ideal.
heart, right? Like eventually that, becomes physical
Yeah.
heart issues and,
Yeah.
hot
Absolutely. And
pressures
I've
and
seen that. Yes, absolutely. No
yes.
breathing, no breath in. Oxygen is so important for the body to flow. That's, I mean, I feel 100%. I teach my grandkids, if you feel overwhelmed,
Yeah.
just step away and take 3 deep breaths,
Yeah.
deep, and just breathe in, and then you get the oxygen and you can think. One time, my grandson, he's 16, he was going through something, and he said, I did it. Call me, I did it. And I calmed down. I said, yeah, that's the oxygen you need. That's the only way I could explain it to him. But he centered himself
Yeah.
around that breath. And he was like, he does it all the time now. He's like, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now. It's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
So, that sharing that with him was like the best thing. But that's why we're so spiritual, and we don't even know that
Yeah.
we're
We're
just
not paying attention,
not
right?
paying attention. We're so
We're
spiritual.
not. Yep. We're so spread out. We're so busy. So
Busy.
definitely, yeah, we're so busy, or at least we try to be so busy, to be everywhere. So yeah, if that's why if you ask me, how did I become really spiritual? Well, I was actually forced to slow down. And when I started slowing down,
Me too.
that's when everything
Me too.
started unfolding. And now I'm super intentional with what I
Yep.
do, when I do it, what I say. Do I
Yep.
engage myself into a
Yep.
certain things or
Yep.
not? And yes, and that's how I have been able to build myself up.
Right.
What was
That's
that?
exactly right. That's exactly right. It's being so intuitive. I started turning on that intuition um, frequency because bad decisions, no frequency. you know? So I started turning that on, and you're right. It's just, getting you hear so much more. You can hear from the trees, you can hear from the sand, you can get a message from just water running. You can just it brings on so much more connectivity within the universe for you. So I see that, I feel that, and I know it for sure what you're saying. So
Yes.
how can we tell us about what you got on the horizon coming up? What you got
Yes.
going on?
Yeah, so I am super excited about our mastermind that's going to be launching the end of this year, beginning of next year. But
Okay.
it's all we have decided that it's going to be called a mindset mastery mastermind, just because
Okay.
I know for myself, as much as also working with other
Okay.
entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
we can focus on the strategy and the tactic, which is usually only 20%.
Right.
Most of how successful business thrive is based on mindset. So our program is designed to hold your hand every step of the way with the business plan,
Okay.
and have a system for you to handle all of the mental barriers that come up
Gotcha.
while you're executing your business plan, so
Awesome.
that you can continue to take action and create the results as fast as possible.
Awesome.
So that is what we're excited about. And the two other elements that I believe doesn't exist anywhere else is that another piece to building self-worth is really healing our relationship with money. And
Mm,
and
absolutely.
all of us have our stories with money, whether you have too much, whether you don't have any, or whether you have too, not enough, whatever it may
Right.
be. So that's
Right.
that's a really important piece that we
Right.
have to handle to be
Right.
really successful in generating the revenue we want.
Right.
And then last but not least, I can talk about a concept consciously all day and every day, right? Like I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times your limiting beliefs and your self-doubts and all of those uh, stories that are not serving you are hardwired. So
Right.
in the program, we get to work on rewiring that as well. So
Okay.
that's why it's not just a business development program. I really feel like it's a holistic way to really build up the CEO and really giving her the foundation to succeed. So I'm super
Awesome.
excited about that. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, of course, our website as well. You can see it here, www.fit2profit.com. And honestly, I am a one message away. Send me a message.
Awesome.
Let me know what you're up to. If you need any guidance, if I can point you to the right direction, I'm here. And I also trust that with today's technology, you want to find me, you will find me.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I thank you for that. Thank you for being on the show, sharing with us the experience of entrepreneurship as a spiritual being. I really like that. I'm sure that the audience is going to enjoy it. Listen, audience, if you are listening to us today, you know that you can leave a message for either myself or DeDee, and all you have to do is press that button, leave a message, and I will get it to DeDee, or I will answer it myself, whichever you want to do. Now, if you're watching us on video, you can leave a comment right below. Thanks so much. This is Edna White, your host, and my esteemed guest, DeDee Cai, saying goodbye for now.